Today, drama means cultural appreciation. Drama means going back to your roots. And drama means meandering through ideas and missing the mark. Hi, welcome to DramaMeans. Today we're talking about the 2026 Chinese drama, Bloom Life.
And first, a summary. A young woman returns home from the big city to reconnect with her family, her home, and herself.
So I'm going to start off with saying that I do not know how I can describe just how much I hate this show.
Should we start off with what we liked, if anything? Because it's gonna be a pretty bleak descent into despair here.
Okay.
So maybe there's something we can glean that's positive first.
Okay. I am just going to warn people that if you absolutely loved this show and it was your favorite thing ever of the year and you're sick of hearing me rant about shows and how much I hate them, this might be the episode you skip.
Well, don't skip the episodes. Listen to our opinions. They're valid. Everyone has their opinions. I think for people who really loved this show, I think unfortunately, for me, this is my opinion, you're allowed to love a show I don't like. But I think you're getting sold short. I think you're looking at what this show could be and not what it actually is. Because I do think there are some things in the show man, just the execution of this is so bad. If they would just have executed this in a way, I understand the emotion you're going for. But it was just so much nonsense to get there. And it was a mood setting that didn't work. And it's if you like this type of show, I compare it to McDonald's French fries. People are yeah, but McDonald's French fries are really good. I'm no, you just think they're really good. Because 20 years ago, they were pretty good. I haven't had a good McDonald's French fry in a long time. They always suck. But the idea of a McDonald's French fry is really yummy. So sometimes maybe the ideas here are yummy. But the packaging and what you're getting? No, sorry. Just was not delicious.
I do have to say that I watched the show and I was excited to watch the show because I really like Landy Li. I really like Chen, but I wanted so much more from the show and it did not deliver. And I got more and more mad about how badly it was done. That I also saw what it could have been. It could have been a really great life, learning the culture and then this family drama piece, where you just kind of have this slice of life, finding yourself and reconnecting with nature. That kind of feel good drama. And this one, it just wanted to be so many things. And honestly, I'm going to say that the director is very amateur. And I don't think she's a very good director.
I mean, I'll give the directing a little bit of slack just because I think the problem is deeper than that. I think the problem starts with the writing and the constructing of the narrative. I also have a hard time constructing stories like this because, when I think of stories, you're and then this happens, and there's plotting, and there's intrigue, and there's things you hide, and there's things you don't. When you're talking about character dramas that are just kind of about a tone, a mood, a city, those things are hard to translate directly to film unless you're very, very capable as a writer. And I don't think anything in the script translated to the screen here, and I think a lot of it was to do with the structure of the story, the way that the characters interact with each other, the way that characters are introduced to each other, the way we see flashbacks. There's just so many things that are a problem from a screenwriting standpoint. I don't even know how a director gets in there and goes, okay, I'll fix it. Now, I know the writer and director are the same person, I believe in this. So it's all of their own fault. But I would say between writing and directing, they're a much weaker writer than they are a director, in my opinion.
I don't agree with that.
Really?
Yeah.
The script is so bad.
The script is so bad, but the directing is also so bad.
Yeah.
And it's just what I see is someone who watched a lot of movies and wants to do a lot of those movies. So they take a lot of the same like stylistic choices and same shots that they see in other movies, and they copy it and they put it in here and they put it all together, and with no real understanding of what those shots and the things that they do for the show.
But also, they don't know how to like string a scene together.
That is very true.
Which is a problem, because even the best director in the world, if your writer can't string a scene together, what are you supposed to do? But I see your point. But we were supposed to be talking about the positives. So you got into it liking the actors. I watched the preview of this, and I was like, oh man, I know nothing about this part of the world. Like, the thing I loved about the idea is, let's show you a piece of like China that you would never picture in a million years. No one has ever heard the word China pictures Kashgar.
Yeah.
You just don't. I'm sorry. Unless you're from there, maybe. So I was excited to like dive into this part of the world. Like, no, like pull me in, wrap me up, make me like appreciate the culture, the music, the buildings, the history, the everything, the art, you know, the people. I want to learn. I want to come away from this knowing something about this that I didn't know before.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like after watching this show, I'm like, oh, it would be really cool if we maybe took a trip and like visited the area and like got more of an understanding and experienced the culture. Like that, I'm totally for. And I feel like the main purpose of this show really is that.
Yeah, I mean, it's more or less, I mean, it could be considered like a tourist, you know, like a visit tourism, you know, propaganda piece almost.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of those moments fell flat in the execution of them. I kept saying they're trying to do big fat Greek wedding moments with the, you know, with the Greek culture that we got there. Yeah. And the moments just aren't crafted. They're just like, oh, we'll have those things happen and we'll just put a camera on them and then the magic will happen.
See, I see more Mamma Mia than My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Sure, well, I mean, the tones are so different. Like, Big Fat Greek Wedding is kind of a broad comedy.
Yeah. And this really, like, there's certain scenes and how it's filmed is, like, how they want, like, how Mamma Mia is and how they want to film it in that way, right? And so, but also in the beginning, it was, like, anytime they're in like the big family and they're like gathering together, it was blocked and filmed like a stage play. It
was very stage play, especially at the beginning. I thought it got a little bit better as the show went on as far as that goes, but it was, again, I think what they were doing was they knew this tableau they wanted. They want the family singing in the house. And so they just set them up. And we're like, and then we'll just run the camera around the room and show everyone singing. And you're like, no. You have to like craft the moment when the men sing, and the moment when the grandma sings the loudest, and the moment when the outsider gets to really experience this for the first time. And they tried to do those things. I'm not saying they didn't do them. They just did them in a way where none of the individual moments land. It literally looked like someone with a camcorder came in and recorded a family singing. And as good as that is for your home movies, it's not good enough for cinema.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough. That's why talented directors, back to your point, would figure out how to really stage that and move the camera, and the audience would become a part of it.
Yeah.
And you would start feeling like they're singing to you and things like that. So I do think I completely agree with that part.
Yeah. I mean, if I was, and I actually go to a lot of stage plays and musicals and things like that, if it was a stage play, it was done well. But that's not. It is a TV show, and it just didn't work. And then all these, like, dramatic, emotional shots that they do, it's, like, straight out of the, like, 1930s silent movie era, where, you know, like, the camera isn't good enough to really capture, like, the emotions of the actress. And, of course, it's, like, silent. And so you have to have these extreme close-ups on the face. And the actor is looking straight at the camera. And you're supposed to see the emotion, and you see how beautiful they are when their eyes are a little watery, right? But it is so jarring, and it's so, like, old, you know? like the 20s and the 30s, the silent era. That's what they did. But they did it because the cameras aren't good enough. And I think they're like, either they're doing an homage to it, but it's done so badly.
I don't know about homage to it. I don't know about camera quality, all that. All I know is that one of the things they show you and demonstrate, at least when I went to film school, one of the things that they taught us, I should say when we went to film school, is how it feels for an audience member to be stared at by the actors. And the most famous example that's kind of shown from modern day is Silence of the Lambs. Because Jonathan Demme is one of those few directors who will put the camera right in the actor's face and have, Hannibal Lecter stare right down the barrel of the camera, which is off-putting as fuck. And it immediately gets how creepy it is and how creepy he is, because all of his creep is aimed right at the audience. And they tell you in film school, be very careful with that, because the audience doesn't really want to be looked at. We're voyeuristic. We are invited into this world. We're not meant to be, participants. And as soon as you start looking at us, we're participants. That's why breaking the fourth wall in comedy is really the only place it works. Is you're in on the joke now. But in a drama, when you look at the audience like that, like I think we're talking about the scene between Minivar and the brother.
Yeah.
And they're both looking almost directly into the camera at each other, and it's supposed to connect them, but it really disconnects them.
I agree.
And I just think that's someone who doesn't understand film language.
Yeah, it's supposed to convey emotion, and it literally takes you out of it. You don't feel the connection. You don't feel the romance that they once had. You don't feel their love. And it's so disappointing. And the thing is, it has this like kind of wannabe effect of like to say how beautiful she is. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Gone with the Wind as well. That style of filmmaking. But again, back in the day, very old style. And it's just like, we don't need that.
But
now.
Also, I think it's just such a misunderstanding of emotion, because they should be looking at each other. But physically, they're looking at us, the audience.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's where pulling the camera back or pulling the camera off to the side and letting the two characters connect is actually more effective. And again, that just comes from, I think, a misunderstanding of cinematic language, of a director who thinks they're giving us one thing, but doesn't understand why we're not getting it that way. Because it's like the lust and love and beauty comes in the eye of the beholder and what you are looking at. So if you are looking at each other, like, that's when we get that connection. If you've ever seen even a profile shot of like a couple in love and how they're looking at each other, we always say, oh my God, look at how they look at each other. That helps us feel their emotions, not them looking at us.
Yeah.
So completely just big misstep, I think. And it's such a small thing to like hone in on, but I think it demonstrates the larger problem with it, which is back to what you're saying about the directing, is that we have a director here that I don't think understands emotional cinematic language in a way that can convey the things that she's wanting to convey. So I think so many things are falling flat. So many things are just getting kind of swept under. Important things aren't being cared for here. But honestly, my bigger thing in the whole thing, back to the storytelling, is just, I don't like any of these characters. And I had said to you kind of near the end of it, they're doing a really good job of making me think all of the characters are morons. Like, the people who are making the moronic decisions and the other people who are putting up with other people making moronic decisions. I'm just angry at all of them by the end.
Yeah. And I want to like everybody. And I like the cast, actually. But it just I feel so disconnected by everyone's emotions. Like, I don't feel any of the emotions that they're telling me that they're having.
It's really hard to put into words because, again, like, I feel like there's so many missed opportunities. So let's just go back to one really tiny piece, which is Minivar gets pregnant. But before that, she gets told that she has the lead in this play, or the lead in this dance troupe's next show.
Yeah.
And she's like, good news, I got the lead in this show. And she names the character by name. But they never really go into, like, it would be great if there was a metaphor from that character to like who she is as a person. And so the reason she wants to play this character is it's so important to her to play this particular character, not just be the lead in the play. But it kind of plays as, I got the lead in the play, and then I got pregnant, and now I can't have the lead in the play, and it's like destroying to her. Versus, is she gets the lead, and she's like, I'm playing so-and-so in this amazing play, and the kid who's not from there goes, oh, is that like a famous character from this region? Is that a folk tale that I'm not aware of? Teach me something about your culture. And they tell the story of the character she's going to play, and it mirrors and metaphors for what she's going through in her life, so that when she's denied the ability to play that character, it is soul crushing.
Yeah.
Because not only is it the lead in the play, it's, I was born to play this. This woman is me, and I can't believe that even I can't have that. So you keep doing that kind of mistake over and over again of not letting me in and creating these character emotions that I can get on board with. And instead, she's like, I'm not the lead of the play.
I mean, honestly, that is her character, though.
I know, but that's the problem.
She just wants to be in the spotlight at all times. She loves, the attention. She will literally do bad things to her friends to get like what she really wants.
But that's what I mean is like, it's such a shade of difference. But if you help us understand the person, we will put up with the dumb decisions. As long as we can understand who they are and like, then we're like, well, yeah, but me put into that position, I would also make that decision. Like, we all did stupid stuff to our friends when we were 15, or someone dated someone else's ex-girlfriend and you were mad at them. Like, we all have been through things. But it's when you don't give us the proper context and background on these characters that then they make decisions and you go, well, that's just so dumb. Like, why are you doing that? And it's so petty, and who cares? Okay, you're not the lead of a play, but like in the grand scheme of things, like, you're now a mother and have to figure that out, and you don't love your husband or his family. Like, these are way bigger issues. And if it was a metaphor for her, then we can give her the benefit of the doubt, going, this is bigger than just a stage play. This is about where she is in the part of her life.
Yeah. And I think you're right. In every step of the way, as an audience, we are exactly that, just the audience. We never really get invited in and feeling what each character is feeling. It's just surface level, where we're just like watching things happen. Whereas like a lot of shows, we're invited and we're like almost like we feel that we're that character, and this, we're always kept at like a distance.
Right. But I think also a lot of times movies and TV shows especially we always said in the writer's room, which character on the show is the audience? Like, which of the characters on the show asks the questions the audience is wanting answers to? So that's why you see so many films with this outsider. Like, if you're talking about, hey, we're going to go to Mamma Mia, we're going into the Big Fat Greek Wedding, whatever it is, I'm inviting you into this culture. There's always an outsider who is going, what's that? What's that? Because we don't know anything about the culture as an audience, and we want to ask that question. So we need a character who represents us, right? So we're not talking about out like both sides of our faces, which is, well, they're looking at us, which is bad because they're including us, but they're not including us. Like, there's two different things there. Like you say, they keep the audience at arm's length, but we're still part of the experience.
Yeah, and I think the director thinks they have invited us into these characters' lives, right? But because we don't really get to see like the actual major moments that, like, they don't realize that they have been keeping us at arm's length.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, a lot of stuff, like major moments happen off screen.
Right.
And you can argue, oh, it only has 8 episodes. But man, if you can't tell a good story in 8 episodes.
I'm sorry. I looked at this and I was like, man, if this was 6 episodes, it would be so much tighter. And you could have set mood and just dealt with the stuff they needed to deal with. Like, they spend so much time on Minibar's character in the first 4 or 5 episodes that you barely even know who your leads are. The male lead, like, you know, Zhou Heng, just, like, I don't even know who he is. What's his background? Why is he really, like, I don't know anything about this dude.
I mean, kind of. He when he returned home, he apparently already had a, what are those?
Homestay?
Homestays. Yeah. And, you know, and he met with his parents and all that stuff. And, but you still, like, you don't get anything from him. Like, all your characters, like, even, like, all the pseudo-romantic interests, they're all so, like, one-dimensional.
You don't know anything about anybody in the show.
Yeah.
Like, what their wants are. Like, other than their surface want. The brother wants minibar. And, like, that, like, that's just... You only get that very, like, what their purpose is in the plotting. That's it. And there's nothing else. It's just a blank canvas of, like, who they were before this.
Yeah. See, I read comments and they said that the show is too short and that it would be way better if it was longer, right? For me, I watched 8 episodes and I felt like I watched 50 of them just not doing anything and not really connecting emotionally. So I would have dropped it for sure.
There's no way I could have watched 10 episodes of this show. Like, it's not our fault as an audience you don't use your time wisely. That's like, oh, you can't tell a story in 2 hours. Do you know how many people have told really complex and long, complicated stories in 2 hours? A lot of people can figure out how to do it. If you can't figure out how to do it in 8, give me a freaking break.
Yeah. So I have a lot of issue with Xia Zi's, character in general. Like, you want her to be this typical, like, real estate agent or pseudo office worker, and having a rough time in Shanghai, and then like returning home. Her theme is basically like slowing down and appreciating her roots and appreciating nature and like just being able to like rest and relax and recharge, right? But like, it's not that she ever chose to do that.
No.
And it's such a passive thing for it to be like, what happens is she gets fired and she's forced to stay there. And, I mean, forced is like, if you really wanted to go back to Shanghai, you could, right? But everything is so passive. She just kind of gets swept away and does, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much like everything just kind of comes to her, like as far as what she needs to do next. And so it's like, okay, I have to go back to home because of the dad's funeral, or his ashes are coming back. So she has to go home. And then she gets fired and she has no house because there's a dispute over, with the developer. So she's paid all this money and not got anything out of it. And then it's kind of like she has her bags packed and she's like ready to go back to Shanghai. And they're literally taken out of her hands. And they're like, no, you'll leave later. It's fine. You'll stay. And she controls like none of her own destiny in this at the most important times. Like I could see you saying, well, no, because like she ultimately decides to stay there and she ultimately decides to not go back to Shanghai and to open the homestay and renovate. Like those are things she decided. But it's not the big core pillars of the story aren't decided by her. They're kind of thrust upon her. It's not her idea to renovate the homestay. It's the other guy.
Yeah. And
like, it's not her idea to stay. It's the family's idea. They literally kidnapped her luggage. Like, she doesn't really do anything, and she doesn't exemplify really what I thought was, oh yeah, the city rat race. Like, you need to slow down. Like, she kind of sucked at her job, and they give like one line of dialogue, like, oh, our group doesn't get the good things, like we pick up the scraps, that's why we're not performing well. But like ultimately you suck at your job, you made a bad investment, it's like, and now you need to go reset so that you can recharge, using the word re a lot, and then you'll go back to the world and not make the same mistakes that led you to be pretty bad at life. Maybe, I guess.
Well, basically, she's saying no matter what happens, even when she does mess up again, when she's out in the world, she knows that she can always come back and recharge at her home.
Which
like
is
her hometown.
so shitty of an attitude. Like, that is like, I'm gonna go to clown school. And you're like, well, you'll never make any money in clown school. That's okay. My parents will always bail me out. Like, what a great theme and thematic to have. I'm gonna go touch grass. Good for fucking you. I'm so glad you're so privileged that you can go out and screw up over and over again because you always have this place to come back to and lean on everyone else and make it their problem. What a fucking great person you are.
Honestly, again, like, I don't really like any of the characters. I personally don't understand why the three women are friends. Like, they're not very nice to each other. And yeah, they, like, try to, again, very surface level, like, at every turn, if someone's having a bad thing, they all run to them and, like, hug and stuff. But, like, on a normal day-to-day basis, you know, Minivar, like, gives everybody backhanded comments, right? And then is jealous of them all and wants to be better than everybody else. And then, the other two girls, they wait until Minivar gets married and makes the worst mistake of her life before they, like, give her shit about marrying the guy. And I'm like, why didn't you guys have this conversation before she actually got married? Why didn't you, like, try, like, you were saying how bad his family is. Why didn't you say that before the actual marriage happened?
Well, that's where I get it. It's like, people are like, oh, this happens all the time in real life where, you know, friends are honest with each other and friends are like, you know, you call your best friend dickhead or whatever. Like, you can do that, right? But there were so many things that I was like, have I ever met someone that, like, a day after you get married, they're like, well, that was a mistake? Like, no. Like, once your friend goes through it, you just have to be supportive of your friend now. Like, the time of criticism is over. You can be critical of their relationship. You can tell them you don't really like their boyfriend. Hey, there's a lot of fish in the sea. Like, don't get yourself nailed down. You can bring all those things up. But if they get married and they go through the ceremony, the next couple of weeks is not the time to be like, yeah, I know, you're really in some shit there.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of friend does that to another friend? Of, like, you just go, hey, you know, it'll get better. It'll be fine. Like, you'll do this. You could still do this. You wanted to get married so that you could leave this town. Remember the reasons why you did the illogical thing you did? Instead, they're like, yeah, you're an idiot. He's a dick. His family sucks.
Yeah.
Wow, what great friends you are.
Yeah. It also just tells me that the director has no idea how, like, humans, like, behave and react to each other.
I think it's all the context. I think the whole thing, if you take away anything of what we're saying about this show, is that, can these things work? Sure, they could. But, like, the context surrounding all of the decisions and all of the plotting and all of the storytelling here is either missing or incorrect. And it's like, yes, of course people don't like their best friend's husband or wife. It happens every day in the world. But also, how do we behave as humans? What is the reason that you're allowed to tell your friend that their husband's a piece of shit? That's a very narrow window.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like in every situation, they either wait too long to give us context, or they're giving us context after we see something. So we're, like, lost for 3 scenes, and then we're like, oh, that's the context. Oh, that would have made more sense if I would have known that before this scene. Like, there's just so many things. I'm like, just tell us more about what's going on so we can be on the journey with them.
Yeah.
And the slogs, man. This is just slogging through this thing.
Oh, God. I can't believe we finished it. I feel like we would have dropped it, like, after episode 4.
Well, the first 4 episodes, in my opinion, were unwatchable. They're terrible. They're really bad. I don't like anything about them. Weirdly, it was episode 6. It was where, was it Lai Li and the guitar maker kind of do their courtship. And there was other stuff that happens in that episode where I was like, oh, thank God, maybe the show's finding its voice. Like,
it's, like, developing. They're actually developing characters. Although I think in episode 6 is too late to get into Lai Li's story.
No, way too late. Because they spent so much time. I said a couple times while we were watching this, the director doesn't know how to walk and chew bubblegum. Like, we have to deal with all of Minivar's, like, entire story and like all the way through, like, childhood to marriage. And then we can talk about the other characters. You're like, no, like, we, and like, yes, okay, fine. We met the guitarist one time before. But, like, they don't start up until, like, episode 6. And I can't remember all the things that happened in that episode, but I remember thinking, if this was the show, they have a show. Because I was starting to feel the atmosphere and, like, the romance and the emotions. And I was like, okay, if the show from here on does this, holy shit, they might be able to save it. 6, 7, 8, 3-episode run, be flawless. We always say all the time, endings are important. If you would have just knocked it out of the park in the last 3 innings, we probably would have been a lot more, like, willing to accept some of the nonsense in the beginning. But it was kind of just a standout episode, and then we went right back in episode 7, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. I posed the question of when... So it was, like, twice, right? So Lai Li meets the guy, bumps into him. You know, she finds out that he plays at this, like...
club,
restaurant, whatever, right? Goes and watches him and gets mesmerized by him playing his instrument, and I don't remember if he was singing or not, or if he was just playing that instrument or not. But she just gets like dumbfounded by how amazing he is, right? But she goes to the restaurant to go see him, and then nothing happens from that point, right? So then, fast forward to episode 6, she goes back to him and is like, here's your bag. And I'm like, why didn't this encounter happen when he was at the restaurant? When she went to go seek him out that time? Like, what happened that time? Why didn't we see anything?
Well, I think that goes to a bigger thing that is my problem with the show is I feel like we see things and they're done a certain way, and then I'm like, what's the motivation for that? Or what's the information I need to make this scene make sense? And then it would be either shown like after or right before. And so another example is like the dad and the knucklebone challenge game thing, where they kind of explain what that game even was, like after she has the whole scene with the uncle. And so, like, this whole time, I'm like, okay, so, like, there's this game they played. So I have to just assume that I'm like, what? What is the game? Okay, I'm just going to, benefit of the doubt, it'll be a game someone else has heard of, and I just don't know it because I'm not from this region, and I'm just going to assume that. And then we come to find out it was a very personal thing between these two guys, their connection. How easy would have it been to set that up early? How easy would it be to set things up so that when the context comes back, you know, the brother's death, that she blames herself because he was feeding the cat and the house collapsed on him, which we don't see the flashback until after she's told us about, it was my fault. And then, like, we have to show a flashback of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, but if you would have showed us the flashback or told that story first, now we can understand her emotions for later. But you're holding stuff from us all over the place, and then you're like, oh, oops, we forgot to set that up. Let's quick throw a flashback. Oh, let's explain it in retrospect. I'm like, no. We're like getting ahead of you, or we're just lost, and now none of it means anything. And I just thought this whole show was that over and over and over again, where it's like, oh, they could have easily set up that knucklebone thing when the daughter took it out of the dad's box, or when the mom gave it to her, like, she's like, it's yours, right?
Yeah.
And they could have told the story about it. Oh yeah, remember when Uncle and Dad used to play this dumb game? Well, it's more than a dumb game. It's a connection, yada yada yada. So then later, when they make the connection, we're like, remember that scene in episode 3 when they made the connection and they told us how much this meant? Look at how much it means. Instead, I get a nonsensical scene about a game I've never heard of. I don't understand the rules to. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, by the way, that scene, it was about this. Thanks.
Yep. Yep. This is just like the worst storytelling, in my opinion. Also, episode 6, we finally felt some kind of connection between Lai Li and Parhati, right? And then the next thing is she has to give up this relationship and force herself to marry the disciple guy. And I'm like, and he was like, what do I want? Like, and I was like, well, first of all, fuck you very much. This family took you in when you were an orphan and taught you a skill. And yes, he had promised his daughter to you, but like, hey, clearly from beginning, she's never liked you, right? And you're so like into like forcing someone to marry you. But like, how about you be a nice guy? And be like, hey, my master who taught me and like took me in and was my family is having a hard time. Maybe I could just help out without wanting anything in return. But instead, he's like, well, you have to marry me. Otherwise, I'm not going to take over this business.
Well, two things there that are the big problem is, one, we are never in his POV at any point to ever feel sorry for him, to ever feel like, oh man, this poor guy, he was an orphan, now he's been brought into this family, he's not really good at the craft, like he's always making mistakes. Like if we would have just been with him while he's like trying super hard and like, oh man, look how hard he tries, but he just can't quite get it. Instead, he's kind of presented to us as this like bumbling non-option for her.
Yeah.
She even says it, like, he's not even good at this. You won't teach me. Like, you're trying to pass your legacy down to someone who's not even good at it. I've never been interested in this dude. Every time you bring it up, I storm out of the room. But, like, we're never in his POV to be like, no, he's actually a really good guy, and she's just not giving him a chance. Like, he's working really hard, and man, he's come from such nothing to, like, be here in this moment. The other thing, that's the only idea you can come up with to save your dad's shop is marrying a dude. Like, that's it. There's no, like, hey, do you think we could, like, get another master in here to, like, maybe one of dad's friends in the old, pottery business can come in for a little bit. I can learn something from them. We shut the shop down for a little bit. Like, there's no other alternative solution than marry a person you don't love. And then from his perspective is there's no other solution than, well, you got to marry me now. Like, what fucking planet are we on? Or what year are we in? Is it like 1890? Like, I get it, like they're in this old town, but I felt like the movie or the show kept wanting us to be like, hey, this is like the 1950s. Also, it's 2026 and cell phones exist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just illogical. And I'm just like, okay, so now we have decided all characters are stupid.
Yeah.
And then the guy runs off anyway. So it's like, guess what? Like, you could have been fine not marrying the dude because you obviously did fine now that he's run away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then they have this, like, reunion between the two that is so anticlimactic.
Oh, Lai Li's reunion with Guitar Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Like, you guys were so, like, it felt like you guys were torn away, and he was so, like, his heart was broken.
He left home.
Like, and then she left home, and then the way that they get back is just, oh, she leaves a necklace for him, and then he's like, okay, now I'm hunky-dory, and let's get back together, and we'll get married. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's not how humans behave. Like, what the hell?
Well, that's like he's stupid. That's what I mean. Like, her idiotic decision makes him dumb.
Yeah.
And so now I don't want either of them to be together. I don't want either of them to be happy because I think they're both idiots. And, like, again, it's not that she doesn't get married because she doesn't want to. She doesn't get married because the guy runs off. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, do I want to be with the woman? Like, put this scenario together. I'm dating a girl. It's going great. She then ghosts me. Completely ghosts me. To the point where I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to leave town and, like, I'm heartbroken. I leave. And then she's like, hey, can you come back home? And are like, oh, did you break off the engagement with that guy and you now love me? No, he ran out on me. Wait, what? Like, why would I be interested in getting back with that person?
Yeah. Anyway.
But I think over and over this show continues to do things like that are like, but why do it this way? And again, if the only solution was her marrying this guy, but instead, at the end, her dad's like, hey, here's all of this money I've saved for you. You should go learn how to do pottery better. Why wasn't that the first solution? Why did it have to be like him stealing the dowry, running away? Oh no, all is lost.
Also, that dowry could have been for her to go learn something out in the world.
I just don't understand any of it. Like, oh, by the way, now that we're like in like real trouble, I'll reveal to you the plan that we could have revealed to you long ago, which is, here's money I've saved. Go learn more, apprentice, see the world, come back, and then you can open the shop again. But like this show is so filled with ideas that I'm like, wait, where did that come from? Like the idea of them opening a tour company, the main couple,
yeah,
like is so like out of fucking left field, incorporated by nothing. It makes perfect sense. Like they own a homestay, they've got the little restaurant, they've got the pottery place. Like they have all of this brimming culture that they could share with the outside, which is what the audience wants. Share the culture with the outside. So the characters are now speaking metaverse-wise of like, we're going to share our culture with the outside. It's going to solve all of our problems. But the way it's handled is they show up in matching t-shirts. There was no like run up to that idea. There was no explanation of that idea. There was no like
development. There was no fucking development.
It was just like, we own a tour company now and we have a van. What? Like, okay. This is like Little Rascal's way of like doing things. Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to open a bar. Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to run a scam. Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to be a tour company.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I don't understand. And I think it goes like you kept saying, like, incohesive.
It's very incohesive. Like, just from scene to scene, like, the tones are, like, different. And then, like, there's one scene where Xia Zi and Heng, like, they go and they're like, oh, we have to find the guy that scammed them, right? And they run off to whatever village. And one moment they're like, we gotta hurry. We gotta get to him before he leaves and blah, 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 right? And then they get to, not even there, they get to an area close to there and they're like, let's lie down and let the wind blow through our hair and we're gonna feel the grass. And I'm like, wait, what happened to the urgency that they were like trying to find the guy? Like they didn't, like...
Like context is everything in that, again, is I understand it. Like the scene before that, or a couple scenes before that, is them trying to hitchhike, right? And it's, oh my God, we have to get to this town. We have so much, like, we don't have much time. We got to get there. So they're hitchhiking. They get picked up. They have a scene in the car. And then the guy's like, hey, I have to drop you off outside the town. Great. But, like, give us a reason that next scene is slow. Give us a reason, like, they've been walking for hours because they couldn't get a ride. And they're just exhausted. And they come and they're almost there. And he's like, I can't walk another step further. Or something. And I'm not even saying that's good. But just give us some reason why they take a nap in the grass. If you want them to take a nap in the grass, I understand. She's there. She was talking about insomnia. She can't sleep because she's stressed. I get all of the metaphor writer reasons you want the scene. But you have to motivate it. Or it's just a dumb scene about two people who are like, should be in hot pursuit, instead take a nap in the grass like a couple of morons.
That's the theme of the show. How to make all your characters morons.
Just give people freaking motivation for what they're doing. And allow us to understand it. And we wouldn't have any of these problems.
Yeah.
Like, take the whole thing and go, what are their motivations? And how do I make the audience understand them? And you would fix the whole freaking show. But instead, oh, what a beautiful mountain. I'm going to lay in the grass. Weren't we just trying to get to your friend who ripped you off for all that money? Yeah, but I don't know. We're just going to take a nap. Ah, yes, the Chronicle of the two stupidest humans in history.
So, I always say that there should be a class taught on how to do scene transitions, right? From one scene to the next.
Yep.
And I always say that New has the worst time, like, going from scene to scene.
That's the Thai director.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, this New, by the way, has learned a lot, and he's starting to do really well in terms of scene transition and things like that. But this person, like, I have such an issue when, like, two people are talking. In this case, it's Xia Zi and Heng Zi, right? They're, like, just talking, having a grand old time, you know, and then all of a sudden, so that's one scene, and then the next scene, a couple hours passes by, and then they meet again up in the rooftop, and they have another talkie scene. And it's literally two back-to-back talk scenes between the two characters. Same two characters, right? Without, like... And I'm like, well, what's so important about this conversation that has to be separate from the last conversation? Why can't it be just one conversation? It's like, you need something in between. You need a good transition. You need an actual real passage of time at least, right? And it's just so annoying to see these. And it's like, it's all like that. Like, scene, it's like, oh, we're talking in this room. Now let's move to this room and talk. Like, it's just...
Well, it's motivation again. It's, why does this scene end? And why does this next scene belong? That's as simple as that. I can't, like, break it down any simpler than that. Scenes need a reason to end. So if you want two characters to talk, and you don't want them to get to, let's just say it's a scene where one character wants to say I love you to the other character. And now they're talking, and you're just waiting for that moment, because you know she just wants to say I love you. The scene either ends where she says I love you, and the reaction to that and the fall of that, or something has to stop them from getting to that point. There has to be a reason the scene ends before she says I love you, if you want her to say I love you in another scene. She can't just not say it and just talk. Well, see you later. You're like, well, yeah, but what happened to the want of the scene? And so I feel like this show, so many times, I don't know why scenes ended when they end. They just kind of, someone needed to talk about a metaphor, or someone needed to talk about a relationship or something, or needed to fill something in that the director and the writer, same person, thought was important. And then the scene just kind of ended. And then they pick it up again. Oh, you couldn't sleep either? I'm like, well, if you wanted to get to this idea of insomnia or whatever it was, why do we need the first part of that scene? What was so important about that scene? Why couldn't it all happened somewhere else? So I completely agree. Like, in the easiest thing ever is every scene needs an introduction and a setup, setting up the wants of the scene, setting up the conflict or the negotiation in the scene, and then a resolution of that scene. And sometimes the resolution is that no one gets what they want. Sometimes the resolution is you don't get the thing you wanted out of the scene. But if your scenes don't have wants, conflicts, and resolutions, you don't have a scene. Delete it from your document.
Anyway.
This is such valuable information I'm giving out right here.
I know, right?
You have to pay some idiot on TikTok like $400 an hour to tell you this.
Yeah. Pay us the $400 an hour.
Send your checks payable to Ryan at DramaMeans.
Wait, why you?
Because I was given the advice. What do you mean, why me? I just gave the $400 advice. You just sat there and nodded your head.
No, I set everything up for you.
Oh, well, you get a finder's fee, then you get 10%.
Anyway, as I was saying, my rating is stomach turbulence.
Ooh, that's as low as it gets. It isn't. There is one more. There's one more lower than that.
Yeah. I didn't give it the lowest because I do like the actors. They did what they could with what they got.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be so generous and give it a counting the minutes till the end, because that's what I literally was doing, was counting the minutes until it was going to be over. Mm-hmm. So I think I didn't consider dropping this because it was only 8 episodes. Stomach turbulence would have been like droppable. And so I was like, and episode 6, I was like, oh my God, they've got it. They've got it. Run with this football. Run with this for the next 3 episodes, and you're going to be up, stepping out onboard karaoke. You're going to be up there because I'll be like remembering the satisfying ending. But then they didn't, so I was literally counting the minutes till the end.
I have to say that I did consider dropping this. We watched 4 episodes, and then we like took a break, and we're like, okay, we gotta get back to it, and I did not want to get back to it. So I really considered dropping it. But we didn't.
And here we are.
So stomach turbulence.
Counting the minutes till the end.
Yeah.
And that is the end of our episode.
Yes. Thanks for listening to our rant again.
And hopefully you got something out of it.
Yeah. And we will see you next week.